You smell it before you see it. Meat, fresh blood on stone, smoke somewhere behind you. And in front of you, a piece of animal flesh cut from bone with a sharp edge. There is no supermarket label. No refrigerator, no clean kitchen counter. No meat thermometer, no guarantee that this food will not make you sick. But your stomach is empty. Your group has walked for hours. The animal is dead now, and the question is simple. Do you wait for fire, or do you eat? Did ancient humans really eat raw meat? The answer is yes, sometimes. But that answer is not as simple as people imagine. Ancient humans were not cartoon cavemen tearing into raw meat every day because they were too primitive to cook. They also were not modern restaurant customers refusing anything but touch dirt. They lived in a world where food was opportunity, danger, skill, timing, and survival. Sometimes meat was cooked, sometimes it was dry, roasted, warmed, shared, carried, or saved. Sometimes it may have been eaten raw because hunger, movement, weather, danger, or lack of fire left no better choice. The real story is not that ancient humans loved raw meat. The real story is that they had to judge meat in a world without modern protection. Today, raw meat feels dangerous for a reason. Modern food safety agencies warn us to keep raw meat separate from other foods, wash hands after handling it, and cook meat to safe internal temperatures. That advice exists because raw meat can carry bacteria, parasites, and other hazards. Ancient humans did not know the word bacteria. They did not have a microscope. But they absolutely knew that some food made people sick. They knew smell. They knew color. They knew time. They knew heat. They knew that old meat was not the same as fresh meat. They knew that an animal found dead in the sun was not the same as one just killed. So when we ask if ancient humans ate raw meat, we have to separate three different things: fresh raw meat, rotting meat, and cooked meat. Those are not the same survival problem. Fresh raw meat from a recent kill may have been possible to eat in some situations. It still carried risk. But it was not the same as spoiled meat lying for days in heat, crawling with insects, or touched by scavengers. The first challenge was getting meat at all. Archaeologists can see ancient meat eating in the marks left on bones. Sharp stone tools can leave cut marks where flesh was sliced away. Heavy stones can leave percussion marks where bones were broken open for marrow. A Nature Education review on early human meat eating explains that cut marks and percussion marks are among the strongest evidence for meat and marrow consumption by early humans. That matters because meat was not just food. It was dense energy. Fat mattered, marrow mattered. Brains, organs, and soft tissues mattered. In a hard season, a carcass could change the day for an entire group. But getting meat did not always mean hunting like a movie hero. Sometimes humans hunted, sometimes they scavenged, sometimes they arrived after another predator. Sometimes they competed with hyenas, big cats, vultures, and other animals. And that made timing dangerous. If you reached a carcass early, there might be fresh meat and marrow. If you arrived late, there might be bones, scraps, insects, and risk. So raw meat was not only a food question. It was a race against other predators. A race against heat. A race against decay. A race against hunger. Fire changed that race. Cooking meat can make it easier to chew. It can make some nutrients easier to access. It can reduce many pathogens. It can make tough parts softer. And it can turn a dangerous-looking piece of flesh into something safer and more useful. Researchers have long debated how early and how regularly ancient humans controlled fire. There is evidence for ancient fire use deep in human history, but regular cooking did not appear everywhere at the same time. That means there may have been long periods when some humans ate a mixed diet of raw foods and cooked foods depending on place, time, tools, and access to fire. The cooking hypothesis, associated with Richard Wrangham and other researchers, argues that cooking may have played an important role in human evolution because cooked food can provide energy more efficiently. Not every detail is settled, but the broad point is clear. Cooking mattered. It was not just flavor. It was technology. Imagine two groups. One has a stable campfire, dry fuel, time, and tools. They can roast pieces of meat. They can warm bones. They can cook tough foods. They can share food with children, elders, and injured people who cannot chew as easily. The other group is moving fast. Rain has soaked the fuel. Predators are near. The meat is fresh, but the camp is not safe. They may cut small pieces and eat quickly. Not because raw meat is ideal, because the situation is forcing a choice. This is the ancient pattern again. Survival is not clean, it is decisions under pressure. Another important point is that ancient humans did not only eat muscle meat. Modern people often imagine a steak. But prehistoric meat eating could include marrow, fat, organs, blood, brain tissue, tendons, and skin, depending on culture, tool access, and hunger. Marrow was especially valuable because it is rich and protected inside bone. Breaking bones open with stones could unlock food that other animals could not always get easily. That may be one reason stone tools were so important. A sharp flake is not just a knife, it is a way to enter an animal body. It is a way to turn a carcass into food before something else takes it. But raw meat also carried fear. A bad smell could warn you. A strange color could warn you. Maggots could warn you. A swollen belly on a carcass could warn you. Meat sitting in heat could warn you. Ancient humans did not need a laboratory to learn that some meat was dangerous. They had memory. Someone ate and became sick. Someone vomited. Someone weakened. Someone died. The group remembered. Children watched adults reject certain carcasses. Elders warned against meat found too late. Stories formed around danger. Knowledge became taste, disgust, habit, and caution. That may be why disgust matters. Disgust is not just culture. It can be a survival alarm. A rotten smell does not need a scientific explanation to change behavior. Your body pulls back before your mind explains why. But there were probably desperate moments. A failed hunt, a dry season, a hungry child, a long migration, a carcass found at the edge of being useful. In those moments, the line between safe and unsafe could blur. A group might cut away bad parts. They might take marrow from bones. They might roast what they could. They might eat small amounts. They might accept risk because starvation was worse. This is where the myth breaks. Ancient humans did not eat raw meat because they were stronger than microbes. They survived because they selected, processed, cooked, shared, remembered, and sometimes got lucky. And sometimes they probably got sick. We should not imagine the ancient body is immune. Parasites are old. Foodborne illness is old. Human bodies have always shared the world with microbes. Small mobile groups may have avoided some risks that later crowded settlements increased, but they did not live in a clean world. They touched soil. They butchered animals. They carried meat. They handled hides. They drank natural water. They lived near insects, blood, feces, and decay. So yes, raw meat could be part of life, but it was not a free pass. It was one more risk in a world full of risks. Neanderthals and early modern humans also remind us that there was no single ancient diet. Some groups lived in cold open landscapes with large animals, some lived near coasts. Some gathered many plants, some ate shellfish. Some hunted deer, horse, bison, or gazelle. Some had more reliable fire than others, some cooked often. Some may have eaten more raw food when conditions demanded it. Ancient humans were not one menu, they were many people in many landscapes. That is why the question needs a better answer. Did they eat raw meat? Sometimes, yes. Did they prefer raw meat because they were primitive? Not necessarily. Did cooking make meat more useful and often safer? Yes. Could hunger force dangerous choices? Absolutely. The better question is not whether ancient humans could swallow raw meat. The better question is how they decided what was worth the risk. Imagine the scene again. The animal is dead. Your stomach hurts with hunger. The smell of blood is fresh. Your group is alert because predators may return. One person cuts the hide. Another watches the horizon. Someone breaks a bone for marrow. Someone carries fuel. Someone remembers where the fire was kept. No one is acting randomly. Every movement is a decision. Eat now, cook later, carry some. Leave the dangerous parts, move before night. Share with the child, save strength. This is what made ancient survival so different from modern eating. Food was not a product. It was a problem solved by hands, fire, memory, and the group. So when people ask if ancient humans really ate raw meat, the answer is not a simple yes or no. It is yes, sometimes, But not because raw meat was harmless. Not because ancient humans were stupid. Not because their stomachs were magic. They lived close to danger. They learned from it. They used stone, fire, smell, memory, and each other. And when they could cook, cooking was one of the greatest upgrades in human survival. The piece of meat in your hand is not just food. It is a test. How fresh is it? Can you make fire? Can you wait? Who needs to eat first? What happens if you are wrong? That pause before the bite may be where survival lived. If you enjoyed this journey into the distant past, subscribe for more stories about ancient humans and human evolution.